My guest is Hilary Knight. She's an Olympic gold medalist, 7-time world champion, arguably the best female hockey player in the world, first female skater to practice with an NHL team. You can follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Hilary Knight. Hilary, thanks for joining me on Sports Business Radio. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is exciting. Tell our audience how you got your start in hockey. I know you grew up with brothers, but I have a daughter, and ice hockey is not like the sport that a lot of little girls are saying, hey, that's what I want to play when I'm 5 years old.
So we're trying to change that. I'm actively trying to change that. But no, I come from a skiing family, and it was just one of these geographic moves where we went from California to Illinois, and my mom was like, what sports do the kids play here? And so that was a way to get introduced to other kids in the community and sort of make friends as we moved to a new spot. But I think I'm lucky because my parents knew absolutely nothing about ice hockey. So I didn't have those overbearing like sport hockey parents that were like, you need to do this. But I think, to be honest, just being the oldest of of three younger brothers too, it just forced me to excel, because I was like, I need to be the best because I'm the oldest. Regardless if I was playing on an all boys team or whatnot. So I'm fortunate we made the move, and I couldn't imagine if we went anywhere else what I would be doing right now.
I was reading on your website, your personal website, that your grandma expressed some concerns about you playing ice hockey, but your mom was like, no, girls can play ice hockey. What has it meant to have the support of your family in this journey?
Yeah, and from that, I think it's unique, and I'm so fortunate, thankful, and lucky. But to have, as you can see, sort of the strong female presence and role model just in home was pivotal for me. And, I don't necessarily always remember the conversations that my mom had with my grandmother, but that was one that definitely sticks out because it was like, yeah, like I'm going to do this. And I think that's what's special about our family is it didn't really matter the gender. It was just like, if you're going to go there, you better show up, work as hard as you can, and try to make the team better. And, I think a little caveat of being the only girl sometimes on all boys teams, I definitely felt other pressures, but in our family, it was just be the best, whatever that looks like.
I don't care if you're playing, junior sports, Olympics, world championships. Winning 7 championships is hard at any level.
Yeah.
How do you continue to get up for the challenge of winning more championships after you've already won 1 or 2? Because I've talked to a lot of athletes, and it's so easy to fall back into I've done that. I checked that box. I don't need to win anymore. To win 7 is crazy.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's hard to stay hungry when you're full. I think that's kind of what we talk about, amongst us as veterans who have really essentially accomplished everything in the sport, which is remarkable. But I think that's what gets me and my fellow teammates out of bed. It's like we want to win. And what we did last year, the year before, and obviously COVID, maybe 2 years ago now, feels like it was yesterday, and you're waking up and it's a 50-50 draw, and you just have to be ready to show up, and you do your best away from the rink to prepare yourself for your successes on ice. And it doesn't always fall the way you want it to, but I've been fortunate to be on the winning side of a few more championships than my opponents.
You're a great leader. You're one of the leaders of Team USA. What are the leadership qualities? If someone's listening to this, they're a CEO, they're an athlete, they're a parent. What are the leadership qualities that you think are essential for being successful?
Yeah, and I think this is an interesting question because I think, a lot of people, when you say leadership, they think of these really eccentric, extroverted individuals that are pounding their chest and razzing everyone else up. And that's not necessarily the case. And that's something that took me a while to figure out, is how do I fit into this as I'm becoming an older player within our amazing team, an amazing group of women. How do I lead? What does that look like? And sometimes it's just leading by example, which I think is probably one of the hardest things to do. Is you wouldn't ask someone else to do something that you couldn't do or wouldn't be willing to do yourself. And I think it's just being a good citizen and making sure that you're doing all the little things right. So when push comes to shove, there's no excuses, and the responsibility is shared. But a big understanding of you are essentially serving your teammates or your group, and you want to bring the best out of one another. And whatever that looks like for that individual person, because we're all different by nature, that's just what you do.
Hilary, what are your game day rituals? I always find it fascinating to hear from athletes. Like, what are the game day rituals? Do you have certain rituals that you go through as you're getting ready for competition?
Definitely. And it feels like so long ago. But yeah, I don't know. I think the way I prepare with the US team is different than the pro circuit. And that's probably why I've had more success on the US side. But no, it's just making sure that you get into a new tournament, you're probably in a different location. You're definitely not at home. So there's really no home ice advantage, so to speak. So you just figure out your routine within the hotel, and whether that's taking naps, listening to certain music. I try to clear my actual schedule, so I'm not doing anything that doesn't revolve around our team or in our little sphere, and create a bubble, so to speak, of my intentions and what I want to focus on. But if I can fit in a nap, a solid pregame meal, and get some good tunes going on the bus, I'm all good.
What's the pregame meal usually? What do you like to have?
Yeah, so it depends where we are, but I'm extremely picky. So I have a very finicky stomach on game day. So recently, just with quarantines and COVID protocols and stuff, we've been making a lot of meals in our hotel rooms. And so I've just brought along an electric kettle, and I've just been making a lot of oatmeal sort of on the go, or overnight oats, and just been going with that because it's it's sort of that comfort food for me that I'm able to make and pack different packets, even if we're going over to China, or we're staying here in North America. It doesn't really matter.
So you've got trials coming up. Walk me through that, because like you just said, the pandemic comes, it changes all the training and preparation. What does that look like? I mean, I've interviewed people on this show in the last year who are using water bottles as weights in their home because they couldn't get weights, and they're just walking around their neighborhood because they can't go work out anywhere. What have you been doing?
Yeah, so I wish I had sort of the premonition of what COVID was going to look like with the stock market and invested money that way, but I sort of saw this thing coming along, and I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be bad." And I was able to order a bunch of stuff from Rogue, and build my own garage gym at home.
Wow.
And I worked with my strength coach, and I was like, "Hey, what do I need?" and getting those things together. And so I'm lucky in that way that the first few weeks of quarantine, I was filling a backpack full of logs to do squats and things like that. And then I could always go run up a mountain because I was home in Idaho. But I was really fortunate to be able to build my own setup and sort of cater to my needs. However, without having that US competition and opportunity in the last, I don't even know, I think the last time was a rivalry series in February of the previous year. It's tough. We're a team sport. It's not like I can just go crushed at the gym and expect to be a seamless transition with the rest of my teammates. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be prepared for the opportunity whenever it comes, but it's been a very different year, and it's been very challenging for team sports.
Yeah. How do you stay close with some of your teammates? Are you doing Zooms, phone calls, texts?
Yeah, at the beginning we were doing a lot of Zoom workouts, and you just have friends naturally. You're texting them, calling them. If you're going through a hard time, FaceTime, whatever. But then it sort of became old, right? I think we just spent so much time on Zoom that we're like, oh, we have to do another Zoom call or another one of these. So I think the less rehearsed stuff has given us better chemistry over the long run than the actual check-ins. But at the same time, at the beginning of this thing, to have a constant check-in with people, even if you were dreading a workout together, it was nice afterwards to hang on for a few minutes and just touch base.
World championship or Olympic gold, which means more?
Oh my gosh, I think it depends. I think the 2017 World Championship holds an extremely special place to all of us, just because what we had to overcome off the ice in order to have that victory on the ice. But it's also, we were chasing that elusive gold medal, the Olympic gold medal, for so many years, and to be new in Vancouver and lose, you're like, oh, I can come back. And then you're looking around the room thinking, there's less women here that I was in Vancouver with. Like, it's hard to come back and do this again. So what a unique opportunity, and be ready for a win in Sochi. And then to have it sort of just slip through our fingers as it did was just heartbreaking. And so to come back 4 years later and just absolutely crush it in the fashion that we did with the team that we had, it was extremely special. So maybe if I win another Olympic gold, I can give you a better answer on which one feels heavier. But it really depends on the team and the process that you go through with them.
I am not on the front lines like you are of the fight for equal pay. I've had Lindsay Horan from U.S. Women's National Team on this show, Midge Purse, Abby Wambach. Where does it stand from where you sit? Are we making any progress? Is it stuck in the mud? Where is this?
I think it just depends on the day and depends on the season. Obviously for hockey, we're behind the times. And I think a lot of that has to do with sort of our insulated culture that we've built just in the sport of ice hockey. So breaking through those barriers, changing behaviors, and really giving women a better and fair shake to build a better future. So that's something that I'm involved with the PWHPA. We're working on establishing and forming sort of the best sustainable professional league where women do make a livable wage and can say, hey, when I signed up as 5 years old, my dream was to go play professional women's hockey. So that's one aspect to it. But in terms of other sports, you watch the WNBA, what they've accomplished. Obviously, they've been around a lot longer, and the NWSL recently. And I think what was unique about COVID and sort of the silver lining, if you put all the deaths and the mental health aspects aside of just being in quarantine, was you finally gave women a stage to compete. And look how many people tuned in. And historically, watching women's sports, like, we have a cult following because it is so hard for our fans to figure out when we're playing, where we're playing, and what platform to watch us on. So
Right.
providing that consistency was huge. And I think it speaks volumes to what they're doing, and hopefully we can follow suit.
You recently made an investment in just women's sports. You joined Kevin Durant, Elena, Donne, and others in that investment. Why did you invest, and what are you hoping this platform becomes?
Yeah, I'm hoping the platform's already grown tremendously, and it was really cool to see just that spike. And I know they took it off for a little bit and then rebranded and came back, and just within a short amount of time, they've been crushing it. So it's so special to have a women-centric platform that is able to tell those stories, and to have like legitimate content that isn't just like fluff pieces about women playing sports, right? They're in the trenches with us, and they want to provide fans a better look and behind the scenes and highlights and all that stuff. So I'm hoping it continues to grow, and it's going to be a main spot to watch women's sports.
What do you want to do post-career? Would you ever want to write those stories, tell those stories, be a broadcaster, like be a CEO of a company like that? What are your plans? Have you thought about it?
I mean, yeah, the VC space is super interesting.
Yeah.
To be able to, learn about different companies in the sports sphere, whether that's sports tech or media, it's all interesting to me. But broadcasting is definitely of interest for sure. Just because it's easy, right? You just get to talk about the thing that you do and you have done for so many years, and you get to explain and share that joy with other people. So, that's definitely on the list. But I think the pinnacle or the ultimate goal for me would to sort of establish an all women's group and own, an NHL team, and then also a women's pro team. I think that would be the goal. So really have to make a few more bucks here, but working towards that.
You know what I want to see? Wayne Gretzky just signed with TNT because TNT is going to be doing NHL games. I want to see you sitting next to Wayne Gretzky providing perspective too. Then we can have two GOATs on the set at the same time. That's what I want to see. I think you would be fantastic in that role.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's almost like sitting on the couch just saying, oh yeah, this is what I think of this game, and sharing it with millions of other viewers. So that would be a lot of fun.
But I got to tell you, so I have grown up on the West Coast and I love watching hockey, but there's a lot of the nuances of the game that I still don't understand. So, I've watched football and basketball. Well, you play, so I hope you understand. But to have someone explain it who's played it like you at the level that you've played it would be really helpful. But then, the perspective that you can offer because of the success that you've had on the ice is really unique.
Yeah, and I think it just comes down to like how dynamic. Obviously, we have a ton of rules in hockey, and you're balancing on these like little knives, and it's just who made up the sport, right? But it's
Right.
great because it's so dynamic, and it's so easy to, if you don't know where the puck's going, to just be overwhelmed with the game, and to be able to break it down and explain why maybe a player made that decision there or didn't make that decision there is really, really interesting within like how it fits in the overall structure of the rules. So I think that's fun, is to share a passion and maybe get into a little bit more explanation of, why so-and-so did this or didn't do that.
I want to talk about some of your business partnerships. Red Bull is a big partner of yours. How did you start working with them, and tell us a little bit about that partnership?
Yeah, honestly, it's funny. Looking back, I don't think I had like any sponsors at the time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're making peanut butter sandwiches, and you're like, how do I continue to chase this Olympic dream? And we haven't won a gold medal yet, and you're just thinking like nobody cares because we haven't won a gold Olympic medal and all this stuff. And the opportunity to work with Red Bull comes along, and I was really intimidated because I'm like, we're a traditional sport, right? And I didn't really know how hockey fit in with Red Bull in North America. Obviously, Red Bull has hockey teams over in Europe, and they're great, and they have a whole training program and stuff, and it's wonderful. But it's like, I don't know how I fit into there. So really trying to spark a little bit more creative thinking and thinking, okay, like how do I align with what Red Bull is doing? And sure enough, my manager came out, and we went on the ice, and then I'm like, okay, like I know how I fit in here, which is really cool. And I think it gave me a unique perspective because, I've been so, entrenched in thinking we're a traditional sport, this is how we do things, to really opening up my horizons and saying, okay, there's a little bit more creativity that we can infuse. And then also to align with a company that has, amazing values and can create wonderful content and provide more visibility to the sport in a unique and fun way is always a plus.
Bauer makes a lot of sense that you're working with them. Right?
Yeah, hockey company, right?
Hockey company. But then I got to know about Chipotle. So are you like a diehard Chipotle person? Did you go to them? Did they come to you? How did that come about?
So diehard. I go every single day. Like every day. I'm not even kidding you. Every day. I get lunch.
You have
there.
like the little gold card that like Hilary Knight has.
Yeah.
The free card for life. She gets whatever she wants.
Yeah, I was we were down in Florida, and I was like, you know what, guys, like every time we come to Chipotle, I just need to tag them because I need this. Like I need this, this burrito card, essentially, this celebrity card. And sure enough, like it just put it in the universe. And a few years later, they signed on with USA Hockey, and I was one of the athletes that they were interested in, and it's been great. I mean, to get lunch from Chipotle every single day is just, I feel like that's when you made it, right?
So seriously, like, is it like the Black Amex where like that's part of your deal? You just have the little card and you go in and, hey, I'm Hilary, here's my card. Like lunch is on you today as part of your deal. Like that would be, I think anyone's favorite restaurant, if you had the ability to just walk in there every day and say, hey, you're my favorite restaurant, lunch is on you today. That's pretty cool for anyone.
Yeah, no, the celebrity card, definitely. It's funny because when I first got it, I walked in and I was like so nervous because you've got your mask on and stuff. I'm like, I don't know how this works. And then I had a little hiccup at the cash register because I don't think they had ever seen one before either. And I'm like, no, like I swear, like this is supposed to work. And then we ended up scanning it the right way and it was fine. But I was just sweating because I'm like, oh my gosh, they probably think that I'm trying to pull a quick one on them. But no, it's cool. And now I actually just online order through the app a lot, just because I hate waiting. So I'm like in, out, and the guy knows me that he just comes by and hands me the bag and I'm on the go.
You're so frequent that they just already have your order.
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned like burrito, they've got bowls. What is your go-to order at Chipotle?
Okay. So I used to love burrito. I would make this like kick veggie burrito that was awesome.
Okay.
And then I turned it into a bowl. And then from there, they launched the quesadillas, and it's been game over with the quesadillas. So,
And what do you have on the quesadilla? Is it chicken quesadilla? Is it just veggie quesadilla?
yeah, I just get a plain cheese quesadilla and I load up on the chips and guac and, the salsa and the beans and rice and stuff. So it's, yeah, I get the full platter. Sometimes I feel like I'm having a kid's meal, but I don't even care.
Who cares? When you're an adult, you can do whatever you want, right?
Exactly.
You can even have like backwards dinner if you want. You could have dessert first before dinner.
Yep.
So I have been on your social media, and you're very good at social media. The star of your social media is your dog, Bejing. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So Bejing is adorable. I think for dog lovers anywhere, your social media is worth a follow, not only for you, but for Bejing as well. Every once in a while, we get some videos or pictures of Bejing. What's your strategy with social media? Do you think about it in advance? Do you just pull your phone out and post? I love to get that answer from athletes.
Yeah, I wish I could think about it in advance, because that would just be a better way and less stressful way to go about social media. But no, I just try to post when I can. And, I think for me personally, I get tired of taking all the selfies, but then you have great engagement on selfies and I'm like, oh, people want more selfies. It's killing me. But no, it's fun to be able to show sort of a behind the scenes look at what we're doing or what I'm doing. I really cherish the trips with my teammates. So I'm like, I don't have any content just because we haven't gone anywhere together. But no, it's a great way to connect with people all over the world. And now I'm getting a little bit more into TikTok and trying to figure out that platform. And I'm getting chirped to do dances and things like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much. But no, I try to hit some days and make sure that I have a consistent posting schedule. But sometimes it's just on the fly, and that's just the way I got to go with it.
Do you listen to the incoming, or do you turn it off? I know some athletes that are like, I just turn it off. I don't want to hear what's incoming. And other people are like, yeah, I'll hear what's incoming.
No, I just, notifications are off unless it's, a friend messaging me through the app or something. And, it's crazy. You'll notice, when we're on TV or we're on a stream, you get this huge bump and stuff coming in. You're just like, okay, like I just need to chill. Just because I think it's super unhealthy to listen to it all. It's just, there's too much noise out there.
Yeah. Walk me through your schedule from now until Beijing. I mean, we don't have to go through the daily schedule, but roughly, what does it look like? Because what is it? February 4th of 2022 is opening ceremonies for Beijing for the Winter Olympics. What does it look like between now and then?
Yeah, well, I first have to make the team. So that's like the first, hurdle through all of it. But we have Olympic tryouts next week. So this long weekend's going to be tough. You're just waiting around for Olympic tryouts. And once we've had that camp, they'll pick a team, and we have world championships, fingers crossed, hopefully rescheduled in this fall. So that will be our first time together as a group. And then from there, we sort of whittle down our roster to the 23 players that get to go over and represent our country in Beijing. We'll go on tour. I don't know if it's a known term, but we call it a residency. So we all will move to a location. It just so happens to be Minnesota this year, and train together for the months leading up until the Olympics, which is like the best time because you're just focusing on hockey. You get to do a lot of fun things with the girls, and then you're off competing on the world stage together, trying to bring home a victory.
Have you been to Beijing?
I just flew through there. We have played in China, up in Harbin though, so it's a little different.
Yeah. What's it like living in the Olympic Village? I mean, I've again had athletes on who talk about the camaraderie that's built. You meet athletes from different sports. What's that experience like?
Yeah, so I've actually had a different experience each Olympic Games. So Vancouver, it was like a kid in the candy shop. You're going to do everything. You're going to try everything. You're going to be sick from all the sugar you just consumed because you're out, doing all the stuff. And then Sochi, we sort of had a team policy where you were confined to your room and the dining hall, and that was kind of it. So people were kind of scared to leave our setup, and that was almost tougher because you felt very isolated within the village. And then Korea, we went out and we cheered on all the other teams and sports and whatnot. And that was a lot of fun. And what most people don't understand about the Winter Games is you have a coastal village and you have a mountain village. So we're in the coastal because we're at sea level, and then you have to travel up to the mountains if you want to watch any of the mountain sports. And it's always an adventure because when you get up there, it's a completely different village and you kind of have to figure it out as you go along. So it was wonderful to be able to do that. We were trying to watch Michaela Schifrin last time through, and her races got delayed and it didn't line up with our schedule, but it's just fun to go out there and cheer on fellow US athletes. And you definitely feel like you're part of the greater team.
Last question for you. I have a 16-year-old daughter. She plays sports. For the girls that are out there that play sports, whether they just want to play at their school, whether they want to play at more of an elite level, what's your advice for them?
Oh my gosh, just go out there and have fun. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today thinking, I signed up to do X, Y, and Z. I originally signed up to play the sport that I ended up falling in love with. And so you meet great people through sport. If you're continue to work at it, you get to travel around the world. Sometimes it provides you an education, but at the end of the day, you signed up to have fun. So you have to make sure that's number one priority. And obviously you have to work hard to get to other places, but don't ever forget that. That's like rule number one.
Hilary Knight, you can follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Hilary Knight. Best of luck to you with tryouts. I think you're pretty good with the tryouts. I know it's a formality. Best of luck with World Championships, the Olympics. I love everything that you're doing off the ice. So keep up the great work. And thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're listening to Sports Business Radio. We'll be right back.